In order to kill her rich husband, the wife compelled him to jump into a crocodile-infested river. Seeing her husband's delay in surfacing, Dakaya expected to inherit his hundreds of billions of dollars, but she didn't realize he could swim. It was just a joke to her. But the ruthless Dakaya wasn't going to give up. She asked him to perform a cliff dive for her, so the tycoon ran to the edge of the cliff without hesitation. Then he took a deep breath and jumped into the river. As expected, this time he didn't make it back to the shore. Dakaya pretended to call out for her husband, but inwardly she was overjoyed. Her plan had finally worked, but she suddenly remembered she didn't know to drive a speedboat. She had no choice but to call the police. But in this virgin forest, there was no signal at all. Panicked, she shouted to the surroundings, but obviously no one could hear her. The clever Dakaya could only cry, but this was not an option. In order to survive, she tried to pilot the boat herself. After pushing a few buttons, the anchor lifted, and then after some miraculous maneuvers, the boat spun in circles at full power. Dakaya was in a hurry. If the boat continues like this, it will soon hit the shore. So she rushed to the driver's seat and pulled out the key. Unexpectedly, the key fell into the river, although the boat lost power. But soon she realized another fatal problem. There was a waterfall up ahead. Panicked, Dakaya prepared to jump off the boat, but when she got to the back of the boat, she realized that she could not swim. But then she noticed a life preserver, so she quickly threw it into the river. As she watched the life preserver float away, she realized that this was not the way to use a life preserver. So cleverly, Dakaya took her things and hid in the cabin. She huddled in a corner and prayed for a miracle. Luckily, the waterfall wasn't that high. Soon she was washed ashore by the water. When she got to the shore, she took out her cell phone, but there was still no signal. All she could do was yell to vent her frustration. After calming down for a moment, she felt she couldn't just sit there and wait to die. Then she put on a delicate makeup and put on a dazzling red dress and walked out into the forest. But she hadn't gone more than a few steps. He noticed a row of animal footprints on the ground. She followed the footprints and found a bear drinking from the river. She froze in fear. The bear seemed to have noticed her and immediately walked in her direction. Dakaya ran for his life, but because she was wearing high heels and soon fell to the ground. In the nick of time, she took off her heels and threw them. Unexpectedly, the bear liked the smell of her paws, and in the meantime, she quickly ran to the forest. But as the night wore on, the forest became colder and colder, so she had to drill wood for a fire, but she couldn't find a spark for a long time, so she jumped for warmth. But at that moment, she suddenly realized a white animal seemed to notice her. Dakaya ran away quickly, but she didn't get very far before she tripped and fell unconscious. And when she woke up the next day, that the white animal was a cute little fox. Since he hadn't eaten anything for a day, she was already starving. After seeing a bottle of foundation in his bag, she took it into her mouth in one bite, but immediately spit it out in disgust. At that moment, the fox also seemed to realize that she was hungry, so it led the way, and led Dakaya to a place where there was water. There were some strange mushrooms growing here. They looked appetizing, so Dakaya picked one without thinking. She chopped it up with a card, and used the perfume as a mixture. Then she enjoyed a natural meal. Although her hunger was temporarily relieved, but she immediately became dizzy. It turned out that what she had just eaten was a poisonous mushroom, and the toxin soon evaporated in her body. Finally, she fainted on the spot.